Excellent. So nice to have you for our Monday morning in-sync program. It's our I Am Creative Writing Workshop. So as folks are filing in, I wonder if we could take this opportunity to rename ourselves. So if you take your mouse, hover it over your own image, find that ellipsis in the top right-hand corner of your window, click on that, and then rename yourself with whatever you like to be called, and then the city in which you live, so we know where you're calling in from. We always love to see that. So I am Shannon, and I live in Santa Fe. I am the manager of our in-sync network here at PMD Alliance. And we're so glad to have you with us. We have quite a few of us on staff here on the call today. We've got some guests who are going to be helping us with our workshop. We've got Allison Miller, and we have Lauren. I've lost you on my screen. There you are. So thank you for being here. Excuse me. And I think we'll just go ahead and get started. So Asti, who is on our team at PMD Alliance, she is our content coordinator and our in-house writer, professional writer. And so she is going to be leading this workshop today. We're so happy to have her. So I'm just going to go ahead and kick it on over and we can get started. Hi, Ashley.
Thank you, Shannon. Yeah, I'm so grateful to be here with you all today. And I didn't even realize that it is World Poetry Day, which perhaps that's why this was planned today, but I had no idea. So happy World Poetry Day. Yeah, I'm grateful just to get to share space with you all, and just grateful for the way you as support group leaders and ambassadors show up in the world and for the movement disorder community. I think that's so special and powerful. And I know we all have so many things always pulling at our attention, right? And so I'm grateful that you're offering me and each of us your time and attention this morning. So as Shannon said, I'm the writer and storyteller here at PMD Alliance. And outside of this work, I also am a poet, and I've written a handful of books, including a few collections of poetry. So that's why I'm here sharing with you today for the I Am Poetry Workshop. But I just want you to know that you do not have to like poetry, have read poetry, written a poem in order to participate and have this activity be meaningful for you today. So before we really dive in, I want to set the scene a little bit for what we're going to be doing in this workshop. And we're going to be sparking our creativity and building our capacity to, or building our ability to tell our stories. And so I'm going to set the scene by reading to you a quote from Oprah, because who doesn't love Oprah, about the power of storytelling. What happens when you take the time to take stock and reflect on all of who you are? And so Oprah has said, what if you were willing to see your whole life differently from the 35,000-foot view? What if you could see everything you've been through, everything you've stood up to, every time you've fallen and rebounded, every curveball you were thrown and caught, every time you were disappointed and didn't stoop to despair, every victory, every chance, and appreciate the fact that you're still here, still standing, still striving for a better life. This is what Oprah believes is the power of telling your own story, because it has this ability to transform your perspective, again, when you take stock of all of who you are, and therefore transform your life, because when you shift your perspective, it changes the way you live. And that's what this I Am poem today, or writing this poem, invites you to do, to reflect on all of who you are. Because we have all these parts of ourselves, right? It could feel like we have all these distinct parts, and they might feel like they're clashing against each other sometimes, but we have all these parts and still we are whole. And that's the power of this. And I also think there's something really magical that happens when we get to tell our stories and share our stories in community and get to listen to each other's stories. There's something really comforting in that. And we might find ourselves feeling less alone when we hear someone else's story and recognize ourselves in it. So I'm going to encourage you to stay all the way to the end, because we have a special announcement, a big announcement, and it involves an opportunity to tell our stories and share our stories in a global community. So what I want to do first to get our creative juices starting to flow is an icebreaker for each of you. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to put something in the chat. And I'm going to ask you to finish the sentence. And the sentence starts with, I am, ... This is the I am poetry workshop. When we say I am, we put an exclamation point after it. It's big, it's bold, it's capitalized, it matters. And so I'm going to invite you to think about I am, and then maybe in the chat, fill in 1 or 2 descriptor words about yourself. So if I were writing in the chat, I might say, I am creative, or I am curious. It could be, I am grateful, I am open, I am loved. You tell me. So I'm going to invite you all to find the chat and finish your sentence now. Oh, I love that. Clemmy, stronger than I thought. Inspired, the intersection of my will and my skill. John, that's beautiful. Kelly, I'm a gap filler. How fascinating. Courageous, happy to be here, Rachel. I'm a mentor. Oh, I'm crossing a bridge, right? When you're at that threshold, you're at a precipice. Interested, persistent. Lauren, I'm the glue that holds things together. I'm curious, one of my favorites. I'm deconstructing and reinventing. I'm an artist, a mother, a wife. I'm adaptive. These are all beautiful, an expression of who you are. I am going strong, Dave. I'm still here, Judy. Omar, I am balanced. Yeah. I'm interesting. Yeah, I'm interested in what you all have to say. I'm courageous, a courageous leader, compassionate spouse and friend. I'm a risk taker and writer. I am still alive. I feel like we have a poem right here. If we just pull these all together, it shows the multitude of that each of you contain within yourselves and all together, right? When we come together, we have all these parts once again, and we form this whole. So that was beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. So to just step back and give a little bit of an overview of what we plan on doing today. In this workshop, I hope it invites us to explore our fullest selves, who we are, where we come from, what we love, what we long for, all of the defining moments and places and people and things that have shaped us as who we are. And this poem invites you to do this, writing this poem invites you to do this from the perspective of seeing yourself either beyond Parkinson's, or if it's not Parkinson's, beyond any label. Sometimes we feel like we might carry these labels, but it invites you to see all of you. And because we know at PMD Alliance that you are more than just one thing. And we're going to embark, of course, on this self-exploration through poetry. And once again, you don't have to be a poet in order to participate and have this be something that fills you and is enriching. Today, we're going to start brainstorming. And this is going to be a celebration of you, a starting point into a fuller understanding of who you are, that rich tapestry that makes you you. We're not going to necessarily write today, write the actual poem, but if you feel called to, I'm going to give you homework to write the poem, but I hope it is fun and inspiring homework. And that writing this poem will be an adventure, once again, into everything that has meaningfully shaped you into who you are. And I'm going to give you a good reason about why you're going to want to write this poem. So again, stay tuned to the end and we'll talk about that. So this morning, Kelly here had sent you a reminder email. And in that email, there should have been a toolkit, the I Am Poem Toolkit. So we don't need that right at this moment, but I will be walking you through that a little bit later. So if not, oh, Kelly, she's already on it. She's dropped the link to it in the chat if you didn't get the email. If you want to explore that on your own, it goes through all about this poem and it guides you step by step into how to write the poem. And if you're a support group leader, it gives you guidance on how you might use this activity with your support groups. So just keep that in mind. What we will go through is this sort of template. I like to call it like Mad Libs. It's sort of a fill in the blank way to write this poem. We're going to make it as simple and as accessible as possible to you. But I also want to remind you, as I say that you can do this, that everyone has within them the power to write their own poem, to tell their story, and that this poem, your poem, is going to be beautiful because it's yours, because it's your truth. And it doesn't have to look like, sound like, feel like anyone else's to be beautiful. So again, today is just sort of our guide to creating, and I hope you go home and take me up on that homework offer and do the poem yourself. But I wanted to give you a little bit of history behind why this poem project came into being. And so we have Allison here. Allison is our friends from Selfawareness. And I feel like we wouldn't be here without Allison. She is the impetus and the spark behind all of this. So Allison, if you don't mind, I'm going to invite you in here. Can you share where this idea came from for the I Am Poem project?
Sure. I'm Allison Miller with Selfawareness Pharmaceuticals. During COVID, we were home. I was homeschooling my teenagers, and my oldest daughter was a senior in high school. And so her project in her class was to write an I Am poem. And so when she was done with it and I read it, I just thought, God, this is so amazing. And so I also got it for my mom, and I had her do it. And I'll say, writing it wasn't as much fun for me as reading other people's, but I think that's probably why it's great for support groups too. With both of their poems, I read things about them that I never knew before, which I thought was really interesting. And in the beginning of COVID, I was on a lot of calls, and I just with the community, and I realized, God, we know so much about everyone and their Parkinson's. We don't know so much about the people. Mm-hmm. And so I just thought, what a great way to find out who everyone is, like really is. I feel like the poem is kind of like a window to your soul. So I'm just in love with the poem, and hope you guys like it too.
Yes, a window into your soul. And Allison, have you gotten to read other people's poems and experience, like in the Parkinson's community?
Yeah, and I love it because some people, like I even piloted it with some of the support group, some of the organizational leaders, and some people do it beforehand and their poems are great, and some people don't do it and then they read them and like make them up, and those are great, and some are along the Mad Libs and some aren't. And that's, I think, what I like the most about it is everyone's poem is very individualized too.
Yeah, so it could be the spontaneous thing, it could be something thought through, it can really fit your style. So thank you, Allison. I'm so grateful that you brought this to us, and so that we all can share it today as a community, and also perhaps we lost you there for a moment, Allison, with our support groups, with your support groups. Just making sure. Okay, Allison. And I also think, and Allison has talked about this in the past, that when you or a loved one is living with Parkinson's or a chronic disease, it can feel like you become the disease, you become the diagnosis, or your world revolves around it. And we all know that you are so much more than a disease. And this poem is an opportunity to celebrate that, again, that fullness of you. And again, I think this is a wonderful opportunity, like Allison said, to take this back, this activity, now that once you try it out yourself, to your support groups and allow them to experience this and their fullness too, and then to share in community. And I think, like Allison said, you'll be surprised what comes out of it and how you get to know or see people in new ways. So let's start getting our creative juices flowing a little bit more. And I want to think again about the words I am. Like I said before, when we write it in our I am toolkit, which we'll be sharing later, it's big, it's bolded, we put an exclamation point after it. It must be powerful, these words. And so I'm wondering, and maybe you can either put in the chat, or if someone wants to share, what do you think of when you think of the words, when you hear the words I am? And I don't mean about yourself. I mean, what did the energy of those two words mean? Does anyone either want to put something in the chat or maybe raise a hand? And take a few moments. In essence, power, yeah. Connecting to the self, a declaration, yes. A badge of honor, Yeah, when, I was declaration, I was thinking about that too. Identity, Lauren says, who you are, a current state. I think that's so important, Debbie, that it is a current state, that our I ams can be shifting, right? And one moment we can feel we are one thing or one season of our lives, and then we grow and learn and we realize we are other things too, or we keep uncovering who we are. John, the great I am is God. When some people will say that when they hear the words I am, they think they are the two most powerful words in the English language, because what you put after them is what you become. So about talking about Dawn saying it's a declaration, a statement of intention of who you want to be. I am. When I say I am grateful, maybe I don't embody that gratitude in every moment, but I hope to be grateful. That's how I hope to show up in the world. I'm looking at in the chat again, Deanne, it involves self-awareness, right? To know who you are, you have to stop down. You have to pause. You have to really reflect. Sometimes we're always racing around and we don't have a moment to really tune into who we are. And so asking who I am is a moment to really reflect on your power and your essence. John had also talked about, he said, the great I am is God, if you believe in that. I was leading this workshop in a support group recently, and someone said to me, when I hear I am, I think I am that I am. And he said that comes from the Bible. And essentially that you exist without needing to define or justify yourself. You don't need to be, have any label after it in order to make yourself worthy, that you are enough just as you are and your worth is intrinsic. And I think that's another thing that's powerful about the I am words in this poem. Does anyone want to add anything to that? You can. I am demands that I think about who I am beyond wife, mother, and sister. Yeah, Judy. And I think both things can remain true at once, that we can have these labels and these things that help identify us. Mother is such a powerful one, wife, sister, and we can be ourselves beyond that too. I am what I am. Oh, Popeye. I was going from the Bible quote, but John, we can go with Popeye too. That works. Yeah, this is beautiful. So these are all elements that you can bring into as you start brainstorming your poem if you haven't written one already. I also want to give you some ways, I am real, Roger, that we can play with the words I am. Because when I go through the poem template, you're going to see that it invites you to say I am repeatedly, to start sentences with I am, start poem lines with I am. But what happens if we changed it up? And again, you might want to be spontaneous or playful and change it up, or you might want to stick exactly to the plan. That's okay. But I want to invite us to start thinking about the energy when we just take a little variation on the word I am. So what happens when you say I am not? And you add that word not to it. How does the energy of that change? And this could be something that you could put thoughts in the chat or just amusing for you to think about. When I hear I am not, I think of things like, what happens when you say I am not my father? Or I am not angry. I am not what you think I am. Yeah, so Russ says it could feel defensive sometimes, right? When someone challenges you and expresses who they think you are, and you're like, I am not that. Linda says, yeah, limiting, when you've been limited. I am not, I am not restricted. Or it can be an expression of limitation. I love that. I feel like sometimes we can define it could be like a defining yourself against something. I am not afraid. It has more power, it has power to it, that not, I'm not afraid, the negative. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to dwell in the past. It sort of emphasizes that second half, dwell in the past. I'm resilient in a sense. I'm enthusiastic. And I also think it's about, in life, sometimes we have to try something in order to know it's not for us, right? We have to dip our toe in the water in order to say, oh, no, not that. And sometimes every not that can feel like a failure. Like, oh, I keep finding these things and they're not working and I keep saying no. But every not that leads to every, oh, yes, this, right? You get a little bit closer with each not that. And I feel like life and the process of becoming is unsteady and uncertain and most certainly not chronological. And all those nots though lead us to who we are. So think about in your poem using I am not. I am not faking. Yeah, this is a negative most times, can't do, right? It can be done that way. I'm just reading from the chat again. Often we regret what we didn't do rather than what we did. So negatives are worth addressing. Yeah, absolutely. You have to try, even if that trying doesn't work out how you imagined or what you thought it would be like. Oh, I don't know who that was. If you want to repeat that. Okay. I don't know what I was saying. I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought. We will just move on. I am not timid. But yeah, sometimes about in trying. So think about that variation in your poem. Another one that I wanted to bring up that actually someone in a support group said to me recently, I am still. She said, I am still. She said, this is a woman with Parkinson. She said, I am still an athlete. She used to be a cross-country skier. She would summit mountains up and down. And she said, I'm still an athlete, except now Parkinson's is my mountain. I am still an athlete, except now I do rock steady boxing instead of skiing. How does that make you feel? I am still. What sort of energy does that embody? Resilience, yes. I'm not just a person with Parkinson's. Yeah, I think there's a lot of resilience. I am me, Judy says, I am me. I feel like when you say, I am still, it's a reclamation, right? A remembering of who you are. Dawn says, you haven't lost yourself. That over time, we have all these parts of ourselves that kind of shifted or changed, or we get older, or, things in our life change. And yet we are still this essence of who we are. We can remember that. I am still me. I am still valuable, Perry says. I am still standing, Clemmy says. Kelly says, it reminds me of me. I am still. So when you're writing these poems, beyond just thinking I am, maybe you throw in I am not, or I am still, or I don't know, I haven't been able to think of any others. Does anyone think of anything else that can come after I am? Sort of a variation on it? If you do, let me know, because I couldn't find any more. What about, am I? I love that, Russ, phrasing it as a question. Am I? How does everyone feel about that? Because I feel like that invites the essence of inquiry, that you can be uncertain. Am I this? Am I something that I didn't think I was? I am always. Yeah, Barbara, a reminder that something that has been consistent from birth till now, I have always been this way, and maybe I don't really want to change. I am not the same. Yeah, I want to be. Oh, John, that's a powerful one. That essence of longing, or how you want to show up in the world, how you want to do better, who you hope to be. I want to be. I'm going to, yes, setting a goal, setting an intention. I'm going to do this. Oh, I love your creativity. I couldn't think of any more, and you all have like a bunch of answers right there for me. So again, I hope you bring these ideas into your poem if you feel called to. All right, so I'm going to toss it now to Lauren Simmons in a moment. Lauren is one of our PMD Alliance ambassadors, and as she said to me the other day, she is your everyday PD warrior. And I was teasing Lauren that Lauren feels sort of like a celebrity to me, because I have shared Lauren's I Am poem so many times and posted it on social media and gotten to see her photo. So it's a pleasure to actually get to see you face to face, Lauren. And Lauren has written an I Am poem, and I'm going to invite her to share her poem in her own voice, because I want to give you an example of what one poem might sound like in its fullness. And again, your poem does not have to look or sound like Lauren's. This is just one idea. And then once we've heard this in its fullness, we'll go ahead and break down the poem, how you can do it. I'll give you the step-by-step guide. Lauren, before I invite you in a moment to read, I want to welcome everyone to, as she's reading, to really take in the essence of what she's saying. We're going to listen deeply. Maybe you want to close your eyes. I feel like sometimes what happens in poetry, the communication of it, is in the spaces or the energy between or underneath the words. So Lauren, maybe just, do you want to say hello first for a moment?
Hi. It's so good to be here.
We're so grateful to have you. All right, I've sort of set the tone. Everyone ready to take it in, Lauren? I'm gonna toss it off to you and let you share the beautiful story of yours that you've created.
Okay. I am from changing seasons, from the crunch of dry leaves under scuffling feet to biting cold sleet on my cheeks on the way to school. From family gatherings along the coast to the sting of mosquitoes on a heavy summer night. I am the capture of memories, the click click of my shutter and shy smiles peeking around corners, the paparazzi of celebrations and community happenings. I am the lone speck of dust swirling in a cyclone at the doctor's office, left to pick up the pieces, numb, with no compass or roadmap. I am stiff and sore muscles, twisting and pushing. I am from determination and perseverance, from sweat and from tears. And I am from the strength of my gut, knowing God's got my back. I am from hope, from pink sunrises and orange sunsets and fragrant petals that will bloom another year.
Thank you, Lauren. I just want to take
And I did it without crying. Yay!
It's okay if you cry. It's incredibly.
That's what I was worried about.
Oh no! Express all of it in that poem because I think we can feel it. I'm. Thank you, Lauren, for sharing. So I guess, Lauren, the first thing I want to ask you, because you said it brought up emotion for you. How was the process of writing this poem?
It's interesting. I am not a poet. I don't write poetry or anything like that. I attended one of these workshops, and I think it was very therapeutic to really think about what I am, what parts of me. There's so many different parts of me, lots that are not included in the poem. You know, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a sister, I'm a friend, all of those things. But I was trying to pick, you know, different parts that were significant to me, and that's what I came up with.
I think it's interesting. I hadn't thought that this poem requires choice, right? We are all these things, like I said before, we contain multitudes, and yet you had to select certain pieces that in that moment or in that season of your life, you felt like pulling into a poem. I'm just going to read, John in the chat says, bravo, Lauren, great poem and reading. Linda said that was inspiring. Pamela says, thank you for sharing, Lauren. That was lovely. Does anyone else either in the chat or just want to raise your hand and share anything about how you felt about Lauren's poem, or do you resonate with parts of it? I see Deanne's nodding her head. She resonates. You head nodding, Debbie's resonating too. And I think, and sometimes, you know, you need a chance to look at the poem on paper and sort of read it that way. Oh, Russ has a great question. Any thoughts on why you started with fall?
I think when I started the poem, I started thinking, how do I describe myself? Kind of my original identity, and I'm from New England. And the change of seasons was a big, big thing for me. And I think that's why I started with that. And I tried to, as I was writing the poem, I tried to think of the five senses, you know, what did I hear? What did I feel? Like the cold sleet on my cheeks, you know, I was feeling that. What do you hear? The crunch of dry leaves. So I didn't necessarily pick fall in particular, but I did want to talk about the seasons because I kind of feel like that's my origin. My beginning.
Yeah, and I love that you talked about the senses. I was going to bring that up in a moment. I'm just looking in the chat again, Dan. Yes, cathartic to write, like that final line is about carrying on when you say I'm from hope and from those sunsets. Roger, it unlocked his creativity. That's the power when we start listening to people's stories or their poetry, even if they don't mirror our own, it's like, oh, there's that spark and triggers something else. Can you share this poem in print, Lauren? Is this possible? I'm going to ask my colleagues. Can we send Lauren's poem out with Lauren's permission? Yeah, Lauren,
absolutely.
I think you guys have already done that.
We have done it before.
This group.
We will do in its fullness for anyone who hasn't received it. I'm just going to write that down so we don't forget. Yeah, I purposely didn't have her words on the screen, even though sometimes it helps me to see. I just want you to feel her reading it. Judy, I pictured a little girl playing in the yard. I too am from New England. And then start with fall. It's a deconstruction, and then look to spring and renewal. Yeah, so now that's a great idea. How can we bring in those like big metaphors of life into your poem? And you don't have to, but just bringing the seasons, bringing in nature alongside of it. Lauren, you said you are not a poet. Is that correct?
Correct.
And yet you produce something absolutely beautiful and a gift, because I think it came from your heart. So just a reminder for everyone. And yeah, I love that you talked about the senses, because when we reflect on who we are, there are things that are nostalgic that go to our senses. Lauren, you talked something like the click, click of your camera shutter. You called on sound. I can hear that. Like, can you hear the camera shutter clicking? Or the crunch of dry leaves underneath her feet. You can hear that crunch, right? I can feel myself. I can think back to my childhood, walking to the bus stop with fall leaves crunching underneath my feet. Sound can be nostalgic. Smells can be nostalgic, right? Think back to the smells in your childhood kitchen. Or sometimes there's just this moment where something happened. You can remember the smell of everything around you, or something is heightened. What else can stir memories? Taste, a certain meal that you think back to, and you could like feel it viscerally in your body. You can call on all of these things in your poem, this sensualness of life, in order to pull everyone in. Lauren, was that a conscious thought for you, or is it just something that sort of came out of you?
I think it just came out of me. I don't totally know. Yeah, not sure.
And that's a perfectly good answer. I'll often be in book readings and people are like, oh, you thought about this word, and like, why did you think of that word? And I don't know, it just came. And I think that's part of it. I studied English in college, and they're always teaching you to think about your words before you say them and choose the right diction, the right word choice. But as I've gotten older, I find that the best writing, or Kelly says music, it's like music, it comes from your heart. It's like a listening from your heart. And now, rather than editing myself and thinking too deeply about it, I trust whatever words land on the page and allow them to be there, because something in me in that moment was like, this is the one. Even if it doesn't make a ton of sense, or, whatever, and some English professor would look down upon it, doesn't matter. It comes from your heart. And that is where the beauty is. That is the most important thing. Like Kelly said, it's like music. So Lauren, thank you so much for sharing and giving us a glimpse of one poem in its fullness. And we will absolutely make sure everyone else can get the words to it so they can experience it again for themselves. All right. Now, I think it's time. I think it's time to break down this poem. I know some of you have been in these workshops before, so you're probably familiar, but we're going to go through it again for any newbies or anyone who needs refreshing. So I believe, I believe I'm able to share my screen. While I do that, Roger's unable to hide his enthusiasm from others. And I feel that from you, Roger, all the time. Or when you comment on our social media post, your positivity just shines through. And I have a feeling it'll come out in your poem as well. All right, so I'm going to share my screen and open our toolkit, I think. I'm like, where is my toolkit? Because it's open here. Hold on. Oh, maybe if I share my desktop, will that help? I'm asking, you could probably see all of my desktop now. So as you can tell here, Kelly has the technological skills. I do not. I have hopefully some writing skills, but that's it. But can everyone see what I've opened here? Get a thumbs up if you're nodding your head. Okay, good. So again, this is something that Kelly dropped in the chat earlier, this toolkit. It's also been emailed to you. So if you didn't get the email, go ahead and check your email. And if you scroll through, there's a lot going on here. There are other examples of I am poems that you can read through and spark your creativity, like Roger said. There are ways that you can share this with your group. It'll offer guidance. I know I'm scrolling quickly. But if you scroll down to what page is this? Page 11. It provides a guide or step-by-step template to writing your own poem. And so if you want to fill in the blank, that's what this lets you do. Again, I think like this is like Mad Libs, where they just leave those little spaces for you. So I'm going to start reading through the beginning just to give you an example. And if you have questions, you can throw them in the chat or let me know. So the poem begins, I am. And then as you can see underneath I am, it asks you to fill in 2 special characteristics you have. So this is like how we brainstormed in the beginning. I said, finish the sentence, I am, ... And so you might say, I am resilient and curious, or whatever your 2 words are. And then the next line it says, and it asks you to say, and I am from, and a phrase describing your childhood home. I am from a big home with woods in the background, in the backyard. And then maybe another description of your childhood home. It then says, I wonder, and asks you to fill in the blank with something you're curious about, anything that sparks wonder in you. And then it, like many poems, it calls on repetition. It says, I am, and it asks you to repeat the first line. So I am resilient and curious. It then suggests I am from, and you can fill in a family tradition. As you go, it will keep suggesting other things, a family or loved one's name who is special or important to you, or maybe you look like your grandmother, and so that reminds you and you are from your grandmother. Or I'm from a song that has meaning to you. I'm from something you were told as a child or that you believe. What was that expression that you grew up with that was like, I'm not going to try to pronounce that word, that was instilled in you as a child, that this memory, this belief that you had. I'm from a place of birth, details about your home, from a story about a family member. So as you can see, by the time you get to the bottom, this one page here, you will have a full poem completely done by just filling in the blank. You have the option to do that. You can follow this directly. You can be inspired by it, like Lauren. You can tell Lauren pulled pieces from this. She has the I am and I am from, but she didn't use exactly everything in this template, and you can do that too. If you're someone like me and you want to go rogue and you want to throw the whole thing out the door and write your own I am poem, that's perfectly okay too. Like Allison was talking about earlier, this can be something that fits your style, your personality, whatever makes you feel comfortable. I'm just checking the chat. Does anyone have any questions about this so far? I hope this is pretty clear on how to fill this in. Yeah, okay. Then I'm going to scroll up a couple pages, on page 9 on this. And what page 9 has is, and you'll see this in the full toolkit, a pre-writing list. So ideas to start brainstorming some things that you might include in your poem. So it suggests you might want to start thinking about the names of parents or significant relatives, about foods or meals that were shared that were special or that happened at a family tradition. Specific games from families, activities, nostalgic songs, novels that you'll never forget or stories you'll never forget. Or maybe a nickname that you were called as a child. My dad called me Pookie. I haven't heard that in a while. Anyone else, any Pookies or, something else out there? You were from that. The best advice or things that you were told, the worst moments. Because sometimes defining moments are losses too, even though they're not things that we ask for or want in our lives. We learn and grow from our losses. From a defining moment like Lauren's, of being that cyclone swirling in the doctor's office, that speck of dust in that moment of diagnosis. So these are things to start thinking and brainstorming. I'm gonna stop sharing. You might also want to think about defining moments. When I led this workshop a couple weeks ago for a support group, I had asked each of them to take a few moments to write down 3 defining moments in their lives that perhaps they'd want to use in their poem. And I got this range of responses from people because everyone's defining moments are different. And I love, there was one man who said he thought back to when he was 15 years old and his defining moment was his first girlfriend. And he sort of laughed when he said it. And he was like, I've had many loves since then. He was probably in his 50s somewhere. But that first moment, that first girlfriend, he remembered being like relief of like, oh, I can finally say I have a girlfriend. And that defined his experience or his understanding of love. It started setting that up. So that was a defining moment for him. Or when he said that to me, about that his first girlfriend, I thought, oh, my first heartbreak. That was a defining moment too. How you were resilient in the face of it, how you understood love in the face of it. Does anyone in the chat want to, and this could be personal, want to put something that might have been defining for you, something you want to brainstorm or get some feedback on that you might want to include in your poem? See, John said, for my I am poem, I used this form to fill in the thoughts. Then I used some of these lines to write a new poem and made it flow and rhyme like music. Well, I also happen to know John is a poet. So John has some pretty good poetry technical skills, and his does sound like music. Anyone have any other thoughts about defining moments in their lives? That's something that you can take a few moments after this and think about. So before we move forward in this process, I have our announcement coming up soon. I just want to see if anyone has any questions, anything they want to share. Yeah, that's really interesting. I realize my most defining moments are sad and traumatic. Is this typical? Yeah, Judy's nodding her head. I feel like we have people saying, sometimes when you think about this, there's things that went wrong, right? And you just like, I think the moments where there feels like the regret or sadness, or you wished it would have gone another way. And those seem to define your life like a fork in the road. But I also think we can flip those around and look at how did we grow from that? Or how are we still growing? Or how are we still in process from that? What did we discover about who we are in the wake of that failure, bad thing, loss, that thing that you never wanted and yet happened anyway? Yeah, talking about the birth of your son. That's a defining moment. Giving new life into the world. I mean, that's a miracle. That's spectacular. And changes how you exist on the planet, with whom you exist, and your responsibilities as a human. Barbara, we will get that packet to you. We will get that toolkit to you. Yeah, these are beautiful things. Roger's saying, as I'm an ambassador for PMD Alliance, I hope that's been a defining experience for you. Absolutely. I am zealous to make today better than yesterday. That's enthusiasm. So some more thoughts there. So in a few moments, I'm going to pass this off to my colleague Omar, and he's going to talk to you about, once you've written your poem, or perhaps you've written it already, you're going to have an opportunity to share it. Omar's now on the screen, he's getting ready. We'll get to you in a moment. But I first we teased this out with, there's a big announcement that's coming in this workshop. And so now is that moment. And I promise it connects back to the I Am poem. So I'm going to try to share my screen again, hopefully a little bit more successfully this time. But all right, let's see, yes. Okay, so drum roll, please. Our big announcement from PMD Alliance is that we are going to be hosting the first ever, what we're calling All-In Summit for support group leaders, community leaders, and ambassadors. It's called, you can all see my screen now. Yeah, it's called All In, the Community and Support Group Leader Summit for the Movement Disorders community, because we are all in the movement disorders community. It's going to be taking place in the heart of Washington, D.C. in October, from October 22nd to 25th. And as allies, community leaders, support group leaders, and ambassadors, you all are invited. We so strongly believe in what you do at the heart of our mission here at PMD Alliance. And so we want you to come and share in it with us. This is going to be a national in-person summit, a gathering, again, of community and support group leaders and allies from all across the nation. And we're going to be building our skills. And maybe I'll let Shannon and Rachel share any thoughts afterwards, because they can do a better job of what's really going to take place there. Building your leadership skills with practical tools and resources. And I just think the power is going to be coming together, right? The magic that happens after 2 years apart, when we get to be in a room together with like-minded people for growing and learning and cultivating our joy. And it's called a summit, but we also want to think about it sort of poetically, like a metaphor, like we are summiting a mountain. And I feel like for the past 2 years, all of us together, we have been summiting a mountain. These 2 years of pandemic, it has been a hard climb, and we've had to endure. But now we feel like we're at this peak, we're at this precipice of a new world. After 2 years of isolation, we are peering over the edge toward the horizon, and we know we need new solutions and fresh perspectives on how to support our communities and to come together and gain the tools and practices to build sustainable communities. What we did in the past perhaps doesn't work anymore now that we're entering this new world, this new era. And so we're going to brainstorm and fuel our inspiration together. Maybe, actually, I'm going to ask Kelly to do this, but I can probably put this in the chat myself. So everyone can have a link to this page that I'm looking at here. So Shannon, I want to give you a moment, or Rachel or Kelly, do you want to add more about what might be happening here?
Well, you've introduced it really well, Ashley. We are just now in the midst of planning this really exciting summit, this event in person, 3 days. How exciting after 2 years of isolation and doing everything online. So it's almost unreal to me to think about this and just even the planning process and anticipating even months out that this is going to happen. I guess what I could say is that I'm also planning new content curriculum for our NSYNC support group leaders as we speak. We're going to be having some regional workshops along the way. Our first one is in Phoenix next month, again in person, our first one in 2 years. So that new content curriculum about joy and meaning in life, connecting with people, connecting with ourselves, that is being planned, and I can't wait to start delivering that content with my colleagues, Rachel and Ashley. You'll be with us in Phoenix. I'm so excited to see you in person. And then throughout the year, this will feel in October like a culminating event. We're going to be diving more deeply into some of these topics, having guest presenters, speakers. It's just going to be a very rich and engaging event. And I just can't wait. So hopefully all of you will be able to join us. Spread the word. We want new leaders to be joining the ranks. You know, we need more people like us out there helping folks, as you know. And so, yes, just really excited for what's to come. Thank you, Ashley.
Oh, thank you, Shannon. Yeah, the excitement is palpable here. Rachel, do you have anything else you want to share?
I just want to say how excited we are as a team to be together and to be able to share this with the community at large in person. Shannon and I are just so excited about it. And we're hoping to meet all of you guys in person in what, 7 months? 7 months from now. We can't wait. So thank you, Ashley, for sharing this and the exciting announcement besides the summit. So I'll let you continue.
Thank you, Rachel. Yeah, I mean, you all make PMD Alliance this meaningful community. You stretch our reach out into the world. And so we're so grateful to celebrate you and help continuing to build your skills and connect with new people and have this network of support, because as support group leaders, you deserve support too. All right, so why I brought this up, besides the fact that we're really excited about it here, is that it ties into the poem. We have a special giveaway that's happening. So Allison came on earlier. Allison's from Selfawareness, and our amazing friends at Selfawareness have made this giveaway possible. And what it is a giveaway for 3. There will be 3 winners who will get to attend the summit, and they will get hotel accommodations, summit registration, and the cost of airfare. And in order to enter to win, you're going to upload your poem onto our website, because we're going to have this beautiful I Am poem gallery that is going to be raw and celebratory and honest and just really beautiful from people across the globe. So again, this is a giveaway. We're going to have 3 winners. The winners get hotel accommodations, cost of airfare, and summit registration. The deadline for uploading your poem to the gallery is April 20th. There'll be emails going out about this. You will have all the details, I promise. And it's sometime in April after that, we will be picking the 3 winners. We are just so honored to have Selfawareness, who believes in your work as support group leaders and allies in the community. In fact, Allison, is there anything you want to add about that?
No, I think you did a fantastic job. I'm just happy to be here, and I can't wait to read all the poems because I love them.
Me too. I feel like I've been talking a lot in this workshop, and I really love to listen. And so I know when we receive your poem, it's going to be like I get to drink in all of the beautiful essences that are each of you. So with that, Omar is going to be our fearless guide into poetry uploading. Omar, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you, Ashley. Everyone, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. My name's Omar. I am the new manager of digital innovations with PMD Alliance, and my team and I have been working on our poem submission tool specifically made for this. It's really cool. I'm really excited to show you guys. And this is what you'll use to upload your poem to our files, and we'll eventually make it onto our new poem gallery. There's going to be two different ways where you can upload your poem, and that's going to be either through our website, our IM website here, or more excitingly, we have our PD and Me app where you are more than welcome to upload your poem through there. I'll be showing you how to use both today. It's very simple. So you have the option today. If you already have a poem ready, feel free to follow along with me as I show you how to upload this poem. And yeah, let's get started. So I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to go over the website first. So I just linked the website to our submission tool. All right. And is everyone able to see my screen? Just a little nods, thumbs up. Thank you. And so our new and improved I Am Poem project screen is, you may have seen this before, but now we have our brand new submission tool built right into the screen. And so we got a little bit of a landing page here. And if you scroll down, we'll get to the submission form down here. Our toolkit is also located on the same page. So if you're willing to hand this out to your folks in your support groups, or if you need to download it again, here it is. As for the submission tool, we just require a few fields from you, and that's going to be your full name, of course, an email, and the city and the country where you are located. We actually have friends from all over the world, and so it'd be really cool to capture where you're from just for our poem gallery. You'll also need to include a poem title. And as for your poem, there's going to be 3 different ways where you can upload your poem. So the first thing is you can upload an image of your poem. If you have it written down somewhere, or if you use the template that we provided you, feel free to take a picture of that and upload it. The second way is to actually record a voice recording of your audio. Our poem gallery that we're going to come out with is going to have the capabilities of being able to hear you say your poem out loud. And I'll go over that here in a second as well. Finally, you can simply type out your poem as well. If you have it written on a Word document, feel free to copy and paste into this box right here. To enter into the giveaway, you'll need to check this box before, I believe, April 20th, as Ashley has mentioned. And the final button is to just share it. So let me just go through the step by step. I don't have a poem today, so I'm just going to fill in the field. So in your full name, you'll want to put in your name and a good email address. Location, I am in Central Washington right now. And then a poem title. It'd be a good idea to keep a good descriptive poem. I Am Poem is fine, but if you'd like to spruce it up a bit, feel free. This is a creative project, so I'm looking forward to your poem titles. I'm going to record some audio for this. And so our audio tool is very simple to use. We have some instructions at the top here, but I'll go over that as well. You'll click on record audio. As you can see, we have a little microphone, a stop button, play button, all normal stuff for recording. You'll simply start off by tapping on the recording button. And as you can see, it's recording my voice right now. When you're finished with your recording, you'll click on the stop button and you'll see your recording pop up here in the middle. Of course, we're not all perfect, and we're gonna probably take several takes. I know when I recorded a poem it took me a little while to get it right. So you can listen to it by clicking the playback button down here at the bottom. And you can, I don't know if you heard my voice, but it was playing there. And if you didn't, it's fine. It's probably for the best. I didn't tune up this morning. If you didn't like your recording or would like a different take, that's perfectly fine. You'll click on the red X here to get rid of your previous recording, and then go through the process again of clicking the record button, hitting the stop button when you're done. And then when you are satisfied with your recording, you'll hit the save button. And as you can see, it'll be attached down there at the bottom. Alternatively, you can type out your poem down here. when you're all ready set to go, don't forget to enter into that giveaway and share your poem. And when you scroll up, you'll see that we have received your poem. And in the future, when we have our awesome gallery, which we're hard at work on, it'll be linked to there. So that's it for the website. I'm not sure if anyone is actively typing it in right now, but if you are, and if you need help, please share any questions. Maybe use the reaction with your raise your hand if you are having issues. We can go over that real quick. I feel like these are the sort of things where some people might encounter the same questions. And so I'll give you a few minutes if anybody has any questions right now. If not, we'll move on to the app.
And Omar, I guess I'll ask a question. So can anyone submit a poem? Does it have to be a support group leader, an ambassador?
It's a good question. Yes, anybody can submit a poem. For your support groups, feel free to share this link. It is live as of today. And if they need the document that guides you through writing the poem, the toolkit, it's also located on that page. Your support group will be able to download that, fill it out, and then upload as they wish.
And so just to add on to that, in terms of entering for the giveaway, you have to be a prospective support group leader or a current support group leader or an ambassador. But if you want to share this with your support group members, like Omar said, or anyone else who wants to upload this poem to this global gallery, anyone is welcome.
And can I add one more thing I totally forgot to say? Well, it's probably very important. Selfawareness is also sponsoring the Parkinson Tulip Project at the World Parkinson Congress. And all of these I Am poems will be displayed in that garden. So every patch of the garden will represent a portion or the region of the group, so that when you're at the Congress, you can walk through the garden and see the poems. And that's why it's important we know where you're at so that we can put your poems in the proper place in the garden at the World Parkinson Congress. And that way, if you're not there, you can be represented. And if you are, you can walk around and read all the great poems.
That's beautiful. You get to see all of your poems blooming together. And Omar, I assume you maybe saw in the chat, you get the question about PDF.
Yeah, so John has a poem about the formatting. So if you copy and paste your poem directly into that text box, the formatting will stay. So you don't have to worry about adding extra spaces. We'll figure out the formatting on our end, but it will be saved. So there's no need to send a PDF file or a Word document. We also have the option of uploading an image of your poem. So if you have it printed out, you can use your phone or any other camera to take a photo of the poem and send it that way as well. I think we have another question. You're welcome to submit as many poems as you can. I don't believe that's going to improve your chances on the giveaway. I believe we're just doing one submission per person. So fortunately, we can't play that game today, but yes, you are welcome to submit more than one poem. As well with the image, if you have a supplementary image that you think you would go with your poem, feel free to upload that as well. We'll have visual images on our poem gallery as well that we would love to share. All right, I don't see any other questions. And so this is my favorite form of the submission tool, and that's going to be through our app. So I'm going to show you my phone screen and how we can submit our, yes, please be careful with copyright infringement. Preferably choose a personal image that you may have. Yeah. So let me get my phone up and running. I believe it fell asleep. My screen, here we go. Just give it one moment. Okay, now I'm going to show you my phone screen. Share. Okay, can everyone see my phone here? Are we good? Okay, so our lovely friends at Selfawareness helped us out with this amazing app called the PD and Me app, if you're not familiar with it. Essentially, it is an app that provides you local resources of support groups, of any kind of groups, exercise groups, virtual groups, in a really fun app. And so if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you will see, oh, wrong page. If you scroll on your main screen, we have a new resources for you to upload your submission poems. So you'll tap on that resource, and essentially it's the same form. If you do have the app and you do have an account with your app, it'll actually be a little easier for you guys, because you will have to input less information, like your name and email. You will have to put your location and, of course, a creative poem title. The cool thing about the app is that you can use your phone directly to take a picture, and all you can see is my keyboard. I don't have a poem in front of me, and you will also be able to record audio directly from your phone. And I've shown you how to do that, and it's the same process as well. Of course, you can also enter your poem as a text file. That might be a little hard if you're on a phone and you have a long poem, but the option's there as well. And of course, you'll be able to check if you want to enter the summit giveaway, and at the end, share your poem. If you don't fill it out, it'll nudge you in the right direction. But yeah, it's a really good opportunity to go out and download our PD and Me app. This update is available today. So yeah. All right. So that's it for the submission tool. If there's any other questions, please let me know. If not, I'll hand it back over to Ashley.
Maybe we'll be here for another couple minutes, just in case more questions come through or anyone thinks of anything. Mm-hmm. What other things, Omar, can you find on the PDME app? I'm putting you on the spot, you know?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, it uses your area, your location, to find local resources. So we have support groups that'll be listed on here. We have exercise groups, all of the virtual groups that not only do we offer, but maybe perhaps other people in your area will show up there. I'm seeing a boxing virtual exercise group here right off the bat. There are other resources such as useful links, especially for our Neural Life Online programs. We have a link for finding a clinician in your area, PD care, medications and assistant resources. We have many different resources. It's a good one-stop shop. This is a developing app, so as we're growing, we're adding more cool things on here. And yeah, I think I see some dancing activities near me as well, which, as someone who loves to dance, I might have to check those out. Some strength classes. I do need to hit the gym, but yeah, art classes as well.
There's a lot of opportunity on there. Someone can go dancing with Omar if you're in the Washington area.
Ashley, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. For some reason, the audio is a little low for you. I don't know. Is that the case for anyone else? Is it hard to hear, Ashley? Yeah. I'm not sure what changed with your mic, but yes.
Can you hear me now? No,
it's just low.
Omar, we need text.
Let's see. Ashley, if you click on the little caret that's on the lower left-hand corner of your Zoom screen where it says mute.
Yeah.
Make sure that your microphone is selected. Okay. Yes, I did see that question. The app is available for both iPhone and Android. And then let's see. If you go to audio settings, you should be able to raise the volume on your microphone.
How's this? Can you hear me?
I can hear you a little better. Perhaps turn it up a little more.
Wait, is this input or output?
That would be input.
Input, yeah, input level, sorry.
You all got louder. What about this?
That's better.
That's much better.
I'm sorry, everyone, for the technical difficulties. Thank you, Omar, for troubleshooting on the spot. Okay, does anyone have any other questions for Omar before we let him go on his way? And I must say, Omar has been working tirelessly on this app, so lots of gratitude for him for making this come into being. Okay, all right, so Omar, you're free to go. Thank you, my friend.
All right, thank you, Ashley. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
I do want to share one other thought about after this, after this comes into being and the full gallery exists, and then we're going to get to explore other people's poems. So it becomes not just about you sharing your own story, which is powerful, but also getting to listen to others. And I think there's something really amazing that happens when we get quiet enough to listen to someone else, when we sort of lean in and get a little bit closer, right? And so I wanted to read this one last thing. This is from a writer named Valerie, who wrote a book called See No Stranger. And she talks about listening to someone else and getting curious enough about someone else to hear their story. She says, deep listening is an act of surrender. We risk being changed by what we hear. When I really want to hear another person's story, I try to leave my preconceptions at the door and draw close to their telling. I consciously quiet my thoughts and begin to listen with my senses. Empathy is cognitive and emotional. To inhabit another person's view of the world is to feel the world with them. And I think that's what listening to other people's stories and sharing has the power to do. Sometimes we might feel so alone in our experience until we hear someone else and we find that our story exists in them too, that there's a little bit of resonance. And that's the world opening power of connection, the nourishing power of connection. So I guess I'll open it up for a moment before I have my last final thing to say. Does anyone have anything else they want to share, feedback, thoughts, whatever it might be, questions, either in the chat or just you can unmute yourself and go for it. Got silence here, right? I mean, I did ask for you to listen deeply. Oh, Judy, do you want to say something?
I'll start the ball rolling. My grandchildren have been asking me to write my story. And so I think this is a good opportunity for me to do that. Hopefully I can use the I am to give them a history of my life.
Oh, yes, what a blessing to be able to pass this on to your grandchildren and to let them see you for all of who you are. I at least know with my own grandparents, sometimes I think, oh, you miss out because you're so young, and it takes some time to get to know them until you're grown up. And I feel like, oh, I missed things. And so I think that's beautiful that you'll use that.
Every once in a while, I'll say something and they'll say, Grandma, you need to write your story.
You do.
If I want to tell them everything, but...
You can selectively edit what you want to share. Yeah. Anyone else have any thoughts? Oh, Dan, only silent because introspective. Thank you. Oh yeah, this is a passion of mine, and I think it's such a blessing when I get to share a passion with all of you who are also eager and willing to learn. So that's been really special. Anyone else want to last final moments to share anything that you would like? Well, while you're thinking about it, what I'm going to do is I'm putting my email address in the chat, just in case you're like me and you need some time to process what's happened today. And you have some thoughts, you're stuck in your poem and you want some feedback, you want to give me a sneak peek of your poem. As someone was saying before, this is something I'm passionate about. I'm always happy to talk poetry anytime you want. So if you got questions and they come up, a week from now, 10 hours from now, whenever, you can reach out to me and I'd be happy to talk poetry with you. I'm gonna, at this point, I know we're a little early, I'm gonna toss it back to Shannon and Rachel, and if you wanna give a preview of anything coming up or anything else you wanna add before we maybe give people the gift of time.
Sure. Well, thank you so much, Ashley. Just echoing Deanne there. Just what a lovely presentation workshop that you provided us all today. And it was just neat to see us as a staff come together in a different way, really embodying that teamwork. So thanks to all of you and all the hard work you're doing, Omar, on the back end to make the technical things possible. So let's see here. So I just want to announce that next week, next Monday, the 28th, will be our March roundtable for support group leaders. It's at the same time. It's 9 a.m. Pacific. We usually have an hour and a half to get together during our roundtables. Mostly, I like to have some sort of content that I deliver. I actually just chose this time to have it be more open-ended. I think it's really important we have the opportunity to bring our own burning issues and questions to the table and just have the time to delve into those things. We're going to have longer breakout sessions next week. And so just be thinking on any questions, anything you want to bring to your other colleagues, support group leaders across the country with any questions that you have. So hopefully we will see you there. And I think that's all I have. Rachel, is there anything I'm missing?
No, I think next week is sort of a unique opportunity where typically we try to put a very concrete curriculum together. But what we've heard from you guys and from support group leaders is that you guys really just want to share information with one another and be able to talk to each other. And so this is going to be a really open forum to share information, ask questions of one another. We have such richness on these calls from all over the country. And so there's so much rich information to share with one another. And so I think this will be a unique roundtable where it will be just everybody sharing with one another. So we're really looking forward to next week.
Thanks, Rachel. And I just wanted to also mention, we said it in the last roundtable, and this is for Ashley's sake. She's looking for images of your support groups and your support group members. We want to see if any of you are meeting in person, and if so, we would love to share images of your groups with the rest of our PMD Alliance community. So we just want real people, real examples of what's happening out there. We don't need any stock photos. So help us out, please. Take some photos of yourselves, of your folks, and send them in to Ashley. I think she put her email address in the chat. Let's see, anything else before we sign off for the day? And that's for anyone who's on the call, not just our staff. It's a quiet Monday morning. It just is, and that's okay. We're all introspective and thinking and yeah, just being, which is important. All righty.
And also, I suppose for those of you who are in the Arizona area, it may be worthwhile to talk to you about attending our in-person in-sync training workshop next month. I see Deanne from Duet on the call. She may be interested in joining us. So I'm going to find the link to that so you could put it up on your screen and see if you'd be able to join us for that program that we're having.
Good call there, Rachel. Our first in-sync workshop of the year in person, first time in 2 years. Phoenix, April 13th and 14th. And so it's 2 days. We provide a complimentary hotel room for anyone who attends the first night of the workshop. So that's very exciting. It's kind of like going to camp. So please join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. We will be having other regional workshops across the country to be announced. Pittsburgh, we know is happening for sure. I think it's May 19 and 20. So if anyone is in Midwest, Northeast area, be thinking about that. Put it on your radar. You could drive in and stay the night with us. Okay, I think that might be it. Ashley, would you like to say the final goodbye?
Oh, sure. Yeah, thank you again for joining and sharing. I feel like, again, I hope I've offered a little something, but I know you're all going to offer so much more in return with what you share in your poems, and again, how you just live in the world and support the movement disorders community. A special shout out to Allison and to Lauren for joining and sharing. I'm grateful for each of you, and I hope you have a wonderful Monday.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you all for coming. See you soon.
Thank you so much.